Hi, it's Thursday afternoon on a rather showery day, and I'm standing in the position where I left off the last continuous Oxford, at a pillar box in Gloucester Street with a Yarnsey ox head on it. That's Gloucester Street. That's Beaumont Street looking towards St John's. That's St John's Street, which I came down in the last video. And that's Beaumont Street looking towards Worcester. And I'm going to walk past Gloucester Green Market to Bullock's Lane, which I've discovered something rather interesting about. So let's go. It isn't very far, this one. And I'm going to skim the edge of the market. It's on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, but I'm not going to stop and look at it today. Instead, I'm going to go to George Street and down to Bullock's Lane. That's just in time coffee in the van. Highly recommended if you want a coffee. Run by a chap called Justin. Hi. And I'm now on George Street. This has been several things, but at the moment it's the University Faculty of History. And this is Bullock's Lane. Let me just go up it first and then I'll explain. That is Nuffield College. and that is an alternative way out of Bullock's Lane, which leads towards Bridge Street. This street is still cobbled and it's quite uneven and it's slippery, so I'm being careful. On the left are the grounds of St Peter's College. On the right, a little further up, is the house of the Master of St Peter's. It used to be, I believe, in the 19th century, it was the house of the senior canal engineer. In the days when the canal was more than just recreation. That is still Nuffield. That is St Peter's. The red brick building behind the wall is one of the old St Peter's staircases. Canal House, so that is the house of the Master of the College, still commemorating its original purpose. It looks as though some renovation or replacement has gone on here. I don't know how long ago. This must be fairly recent. And I can't fit it all in. I suspect it belongs to St Peter's. Seems to be built onto Canal House. And there's what looks like some newish building there too. Which, yeah, that's built onto a St Peter's staircase, so it's obviously part of the same organisation. They'd make it easier to see if they didn't put it behind these pillars. Don't know what the significance is. Sinomilia Court. And that tower, as I said, is Nuffield, but it looks as though it's behind a fence. So again, I'm moderately sure that this is now part of St. Peter's. I'm just trying to think whether Sinomilia is somebody's name or whether it means something else in Greek. Scruffy nail bar. Okay, so that is Bulwarks Lane with what looks like some new St. Peter's developments. And what I wanted to talk about briefly was the name of the lane. The lane's official name is spelt Bulwarks. So that's Bullock in the sense of a defensive wall. But I ran across something today, an Oxford Mail article from 2014, which said that Bullock's Lane takes its name from that of a scavenger. The article was by local historian Anne Spokes Simons, and she said in the article that until 1882 Bullock's Lane was called Bullock's Lane, Bullocks, after a scavenger called Bullock. He collected dung and rubbish from the city apparently and dumped it there. The city gave him permission to build his house in Bullock's Lane in 1558, and by 1605 the lane was named after him. Eventually he was forgotten, and people started spelling the name of the lane as Bulwark, perhaps because it was near the castle, and the castle brings to mind thoughts of defensive walls. I couldn't find anything else about Bullock online, but it's nice that ordinary people, as well as academics and authors, occasionally get commemorated in Oxford, because often they have much worse jobs and they deserve the commemoration as some sort of recompense for this. I looked up the word scavenger for its chronology. Obviously scavenger is a general term implying somebody who collects unuseful material and makes use of it in some way. But there are more general variations, most of them pretty horrible. The Royal Museum in Greenwich has a page about Victorian mudlarks, and these were a particular type of scavenger. A mudlark can be described as a silent, bent-over child, or possibly older than a child, wading up waist-high in wet mud. And typically a mudlark would search mud and sewers for things that were thrown away, lost or dropped from boats on the Thames, and would earn a living by selling them. And their life could be pretty horrible. There's a story of one mudlark who went up a sewer, got confused as darkness fell due to night, and as high tide rose, he had to stay stooped in the sewer pipe, continually bitten by rats. Eventually, it seems, he got a better job as a crossing sweeper. I have to say that I've actually been in a sewer in Belgium, and it didn't seem that bad, but then I wasn't wading about in it, and I imagine the safety regulations are much better than they were then. But anyway, that's a Victorian mudlark. And the Victorians had other scavenger-type jobs as well. Perhaps because there were so many types of industrial rubbish that just got thrown away. Apparently one thing that the Victorian word scavenger means is a street cleaner, and some people were officially listed as scavengers, meaning street cleaner, in census records. I saw this, for example, where somebody was asking about their great-granddad, who was listed as scavenger in 1881 records. But I also found out that there were various types of scavengers, just as there were mudlarks. So there were toshers, who would go into sewers with fishing nets and collect coins and nails to sell. There were bone grubbers, who scavenged for pilfered bones outside houses and sold them to bone mills to make soap and other products. And there were pure finders. Pure is apparently a word for a particular sort of stage of dog dung. I'm sorry to mention this. And the pure finders looked for dung in this stage because it was used in leather tanning. So there were even, it seems, cigarette end collectors. They were one of the poorer and less successful types of scavenger. Okay, so there were scavengers then. I'm aware that Bullock was a lot earlier, Elizabethan rather than Victorian, and I don't know whether there were official scavengers then or how the job was done unofficially. I've found very little about it, but evidently there were people who did scavenge then, and I wish them the best of luck because I think that must have been a pretty unpleasant job. And that's more or less it for today. Bulwarks Lane was named not after a defensive wall, but after a scavenger who got permission to build his house there in 1558, and by 1605 had the lane named after him. Given his name, Bullock, it's a shame that there aren't any of these Oxford oxen around, the people organising the oxen Mr. trick there. Anyway, that's Bullock and Bullock's Lane. I'll see you next time.